Hello viewers, today we will be cleaning and servicing a Duracraft window table fan. This is model DB-100 series. I don't know why it's not focusing. There we go. Unfortunately it's made in the China. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to remove 3 screws. They are dwelling by these 2 feet here at the bottom. These are pretty long screws. I'm doing this with a hand driver because I find that these are not the strongest fans in terms of construction. And these screws, they go into that little canal there, which is only held on by a piece of plastic about that thick. So I just don't like to force it at all. And there's one more screw up here in the handle. That one I believe is shorter. Nope, it's the same size. All 3 of them are the same size. And now, with the screws removed, there's 2 tabs on either side. Press the tab in and press it forwards. And it's kind of tricky because you can't hold the front guard while you're doing it. And I'll release that. And the other one will just kind of fall off. So now we have the inside of the fan. There's the front guard. This is all plastic. We can wash that out. It's not too dirty, but it's definitely got some hours on it. And then we have the inside of the fan. Let's take the switch off. The knob just should pull right off like that. And now we have a problem. There's one of these stupid things on the blades. I can't stand these things. If I could obliterate them all from existence, I would. These are very difficult to reuse. They're very difficult to get off. What I typically try to do is I take a small common screwdriver and I go up against where the flat part of the shaft is. And I put the screwdriver in and I bend it out pretty slowly and not very much. And once it's kind of like that, I go around the outside and I try to push it up. See, it's kind of going now. Sometimes I try the tweezers to pull it up. That usually doesn't work. Are you flippin' kidding me? It just broke my tweezers. Ugh. No, it really broke my tweezers. Daggone it. I'm gonna have to get new tweezers now. Alright, I ain't messing around no more. Now I don't think this is usable anymore because I bent it too much. Though honestly I don't really care. I'm more upset about my tweezers here. Was everything gonna break today? Alright, anyways. Can't even go to a tag sale and get a new tweezer because of stupid coronavirus and everybody's parading around with masks on. It's a freak show and so over that whole stupid thing. Okay, so the blade came off really easily. Now we can clean the blade. Yeah, I'm so mad about these tweezers. These are really good tweezers too because like this is a conventional one and it's it's relatively flimsy, but this was really sturdy and strong. I use these all the time. Okay, now we're going to remove the motor. 2 screws on the bottom. I can't believe those tweezers just broke. All because the stupid thing on the shaft holding the blade on. I already hated those things to begin with. Now I really can't stand them. Stupid things. Garbage. Okay. Now the motor should come out. And I'm going to pull the switch out as well. I think it's just going to slide out, maybe. Yeah, it will. And we have to kind of finagle these wires a bit to come out of that clip. I'm going to have to get some new tweezers now. Where am I ever going to get new tweezers? Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide this wire up like this. I'm going to slide it most of the way through so I can get the whole grill wet and keep the motor away from the water, because bearings and water don't really mix that well. And the plug is molded, so the plug will mix fine with the water. Okay, so now I can keep this a safe distance from the sink, and I'm going to wash this. I'm going to wash the blade, wash the front guard, wash the grill. This stupid thing cost me my tweezers. Unbelievable. I can't believe that just happened. You know, I suppose if I cut back the other side and then I file it down so it's not sharp and abrasive, probably could still use them. They just won't be as precise, so I still have to get... That really just ruined my evening. You know, because there's certain tools that you use regularly and you rely on them, and then, like, I always use this to get the charging contacts back into phone cradles. I was going to clean up 4 of the phone cradles tonight, and now trying to get the cord, the wire thing back into the cradle is going to be really difficult. All because China, stupid corporate America, greed, money hungry, inconsiderate, ignorant, arrogant, obnoxious individuals like to make up products so that they can't be serviced, they can't be repaired, and they just get thrown out. That's so terrible. This stupid thing represents so much obnoxious things I can't stand.
Call from Red Lips. Call from Red Lips. Call from Red Lips.
Great, because everybody should know how to cook a little. You don't have to cook anything fancy, but cook enough to keep you alive. Okay.
Now we're going to service the motor, and to do so I will get out of one of my infamous old ticker towels. This is one of the cleaner of the batch right now, and 2 screws will release the motor, or the bearing rather, from the motor. And this is a Honeywell branded motor. have two nuts on the back. And two washers on the back as well that go in front of the nuts. That go on camera screen. Okay, now this should slide out, and this shaft is really clean. I think it may just almost went all the way off. There's some nicking at the end there, so it's not going to go all the way. As a result of that stupid little nicking there at the end, we're going to have to sand it down in order to get it all the way off. So I'm going to put the thing back together. And then I'm going to plug it in. Feed the cord back through here. And I'm going to take a piece of sandpaper and we're going to go over the end of the shaft there where it's got that abrasion using the sandpaper. Okay, so it's running now. And this is pretty coarse sandpaper. Yeah, it feels pretty good now. Okay, let's see if that got rid of it. Gonna have to go a little bit more. Alright, that should do it. So let's take this back off. Now that slid off with little to no effort, which is exactly what we want, because if that's not smooth and it's catching, it'll score the inner bearing, and that's not any good. Or not the inner bearing, the only bearing. Okay, so now let's get some of the extra dust out of here. Use one of these brushes here to facilitate that process. Okay, that's clean enough. This is year 0.04. I don't know. That's inconsistent with the... Actually, I shouldn't say that. We don't know when this particular one is from, I don't think. I don't remember seeing the UL sticker. Anyways, okay, so now I'm going to take a clean ticker towel, which is seldom used on this channel, and we're going to clean the inside of this bearing. Is actually very clean. And then for this other bearing, the rear bearing, which is harder to get to because it doesn't go through to the other side, we're just going to do the best that we can to kind of jam that in there and clean it out. But it's also very clean, so I'm not really too concerned about it. So now we're going to lubricate the bearings. We're going to use the electric motor oil. This oil is specifically for electric motors. See it right there. You could also use 3-in-1 in the blue can, because this, as you can see here, is also for fans. So let's open this up. and we're going to put a little bit of oil around these in the wick here. That's probably more than is necessary. And I'll put some down in the bearing itself, and that can kind of fill up a little bit. That was way too much. A more reasonable amount would be, maybe like that. Still a little irritated about my tweezer situation. I gotta focus here. Okay, also we're gonna clean off the shaft. Which is relatively clean anyways. Okay, so now since this is way overboard, I'm going to wipe off some of the extra, because you don't want extra oil on here. It just attracts dust and does other undesirable things like leak. So that bearing is good to go. We'll stick this back on here. And I'll drop this in there. And it may be a little bit difficult to jam that into the rear bearing because it's closed on the other side, so there'd be an air pocket that you'll have to overcome. Okay, now we'll slide this back on. And I'm going to put a little bit of oil on the shaft here. Okay, now we'll put the washers and the nuts back on. And these do not go very tight. It's not necessary. Just enough to firm it. These are lock washers, I believe. Should have looked at them before I put them on. Just firm and even tightness between the two screws is important. And it's kind of stiff right now. That's okay. We're going to put one more drop of oil up in the front here. And then we're going to take a screwdriver and kind of strike the shaft a little bit. And then move it around. And it'll free it right up. So you can see it's spinning very freely now. So we are ready to reassemble. Pull the cord back through most of the way. We're preparing to mount the motor back in here. And the way it mounts is we have the cord sits at the bottom where the knot is. It's getting very tight for some reason. And one of these wire nuts goes on either side here. They're not really wire nuts, but for all intents and purposes it's close enough. And the cord goes in the back like that, and then this sits in here kind of as such. And that should have it lined up with some holes, I think. No, actually I guess not. There is nothing that really catches it. Just kind of sits in there, I suppose. The wiring is kind of crammed in there awfully tight. I don't really like that, but that's how it was. Now we'll route this cord back up here. And we got to get these wires in behind that little clip. And the switch sits in like that. It's pretty easy to put back into place. Now we'll screw in the motor. Let's get it into the center of the frame, perhaps. And that's going into a plastic thread, so don't over tighten it. Okay, that's good enough. Now we'll put the blade back on there. There's a flat part of the shaft. Let's get this excess oil off there first. There's a part of the shaft is flat, part of the blade is flat. Those two line up. This will slide right on. Spin down time is good. I got this stupid tweezer ruining jerk. We'll put this back on there. And you know what? It's like I thought it may be the case. It's all kind of disabled now. So it's not really working. And unfortunately, in this scenario, the blade is so loose on the shaft, it's needed. What I should have done, or maybe what I could still do at any given time, is take a tap and die and put some threads on this shaft and put a nut on there. That's what should be done, because this is a cheap piece of junk. I hate these stupid things. They annoy me on every fan because it just makes it harder to work on. That's good enough. Okay, let's give it a quick test run before we put it the rest of the way together. Put the knob in place so we can turn it on. Okay, it's running. It's kind of, it's a little out of balance, not too bad. Oops. It's running on both speeds. Spin down time is good. Okay, and safety third, so we're going to leave it plugged in. And now we'll put our 3 screws back in on the back, and this will be ready to go. I'm going to hand tighten these again because I want to be very careful with these screws going in. I've had these break before, and ultimately I think what I did was I ended up filling this entire thing with hot glue, and actually that worked pretty well. So I guess it's not too big of a deal if it breaks, but I'd rather it not break. Okay, that's that. A little bit of sticky residue where the price tag was, so I have to go clean that with the goof goes or whatever the heck it's called. I can never remember. Okay, let's give it a test. Low. A little bit of sticky residue on there still too. And high. That's definitely running better than it was before. And the spin down.